Qt, setData method in a QAbstractItemModel. I'm new to Model View and I have been following this tutorial while checking the documentation at the same time, and I stumbled upon this little detail. The code of the tutorial, which can be downloaded here as in the QAbstractItemModel class, here QAbstractListmodel, the setData method, which code is. According to the explanations in the tutorial and from what I understood from the documentation, if the function returns true, then the view is updated. If it returns false, nothing happens. But when I change the code to I realized that the view still gets updated if color dot is valid even if the function returns false. Am I misunderstanding the return role in the setData method, or is it a bug? For reference, I'm using pside 1.2.1, not pipe 4.
To quote from the video tutorial regarding setData, this function needs to return true if the operation was successful, or else the view will not update itself. Strictly speaking, this statement is false. The documentation for QAbstractItemModel only says that setData returns true if the data was set successfully, and false otherwise. It does not mention what the consequences of this might be. Specifically, it does not mention anything about updating the view. Looking at the Qt source code, the return value of setData does get checked in a few places, and some of those checks can sometimes help trigger an update. But there are literally dozens of things that can trigger an update, so the return value of setData is in no way essential for updating items. Perhaps it would have been more accurate to say that setData should return true, otherwise the view may not update itself, under certain circumstances.
Am I misunderstanding the return role in the setData method, or is it a bug? From the Qt documentation. Bool QAbstractItemModel : setData const model index and index, const variant and value, int role equals Qt : edit role. Virtual sets the role data for the item at index to value. Returns true if successful, otherwise returns false. The data changed signal should be omitted if the data was successfully set. The base class implementation returns false. This function and data must be re-implemented for editable models. Yet, you seem to omit the data changed signal even if the data is not successfully set based on the return value. Also, the tutorial you seem to refer to is using the self._colors set in your code for the row count, data, and other methods. If you would like to avoid the update, you will need to return false before any such statement. You need to pay attention to these criteria because the signal and the colors are managed internally while the return value is used by the caller to see if the setData method had been successfully set. Based on the knowledge above, you should have written this code for your second attempt to make it work as you expect it to.
I couldn't find much info on this. That said, this forum post by a Qt specialist suggests that this behavior is a design choice by the Qt developers. This URL. More specifically, the views do not lose your input if it gets rejected by the model. This may seem weird in the context of the tutorial you are following, where the color changes out of sync with the model, but in some contexts this might be desirable. As an example, Let's say you have designed a form using QNedits and QTGui to map the contents of the form to your model. Let's also suppose that QTGui column submit policy is set to auto-submit. In auto-submit mode, every time the QNedit is edited and then loses focus, the model is updated. If the model also rejects the change, and the current data, sans change, is repopulated into the QNedit, this would have the effect of the user having to start over, rather than fixing up their entry. The alternative design choice is to allow the view to be out of sync with the model and, if this is undesirable, to push the responsibility to change this behavior onto the programmer. Two ways that I can think of offhand to change this behavior would be to create a custom delegate that handles setData in GT, false by emitting a custom.r ejected signal that the view could connect to and use to update itself. Create a stateless view for your model, force the view to retrieve data from the model anytime it updates itself. In this manner, submitting a potential change to the model will not update the view unless that model emits a data change signal, in which case the view will retrieve current state and update itself.
If you want to see more, please consider subscribing.